We got several folks on. Hey guys. What's up, Lauren?
Hello.
How's it going, Patrick?
It's going all right.
It's been a minute since I've been able to join.
Say again?
It's been a minute since I've been able to join.
Yeah, no.
Been some chaos in my life over at work.
Sounds like it. Clearing it up though?
Oh yeah, it's just last minute meetings. You're like, oh, I'm good for this week. I tell myself it's gonna be okay. And I get a phone call Friday night or Wednesday night. Hey, we have a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And so I'm getting to the meeting beforehand and all that stuff.
Right on. Yeah, for sure. What's up, Dustin?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How's that loom coming?
It's on pause at the moment. I am in the process of cutting letters out for a wedding sign for some family members.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So,
love those detail shots you were posting in the owners group.
yeah, the the A and the N letter cut, I goofed up again. You have to export out of Illustrator as an SVG and import that into Carbide Create. If you just save it out of Illustrator as an SVG, it doesn't save the sizing. It scales everything down about 30%. And that's what those letters ended up being. That A and the N is 30% smaller than I anticipated.
Gotcha.
So I was like, well, it's too small, but it shows some good skills for the M2. So I thought,
yeah, that was really impressive. Was that just an 1/8 inch or was that a 16th inch bit?
16th inch bit. Yeah. And this is I think less than 1 1/4 inch tall. It's just over an inch.
Wow.
For that capital A.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's really cool. Sweet. Hi, Matt. You there?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Good. What's new in your world?
Not much. Just working and trying to get stuff done for Halloween.
Yep. And what you got anything big planned?
I've cut out a bunch of big SVGs with the M2 and I'm painting them and trying to put stuff in their eyes. I got a couple of zombies and stuff and aliens, I think. So
nice.
I'm having fun with that.
We've been cutting out all kinds of stuff at our house, putting it out in the yard. Yeah. We got these big 3D spiders we've stuck on the side of the house. And
okay. How did you attach them to the house?
Using those exterior like 3M, like what are those called? You know what I'm talking about, right?
The command
hot
strips or something?
Man, hot glue is the best for everything. I use hot glue and duct tape.
I'm trying not to steal the siding from my house.
Yeah.
Hot glue you can remove.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I got some really thin material and I've got to stick them to the house at some point, and I'm thinking about trying to figure out a way to do that. So
yeah, especially if you're using foam, it works really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that 3M tape he's talking about, the extreme, the weather one, works really well, and then we use that a lot. But I do sometimes where I need to remove things. I use a lot of hot glue because hot glue you can't peel easily, or you can reheat and peel. And so it's something, if it's super porous, it's kind of pain. So to brick, sometimes it can be kind of a pain, but besides that, it does a really good job. And
does hot glue hold up in San Antonio where you're at?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So.
At least in October, maybe not in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, July with black, no.
Yeah.
If you use the high temp, it does, because the high temps have got to be like 250 degrees. So if it's 250 degrees outside, I'm getting the hell out of Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I live in Houston, so it's hot here too.
And humid. The joy of humidity.
Yeah, my gosh. Not joyful. Yep.
What is it about our Texas Connects in this group?
I don't know.
Because we're makers, man. We like making shit. Everything's bigger in Texas. We need Maslow's. Otherwise, we can't make stuff.
Yeah.
None of those little shop bots are going to do, or not, those Shapos are going to do good for us Texans.
Right. 3018
That's right.
aren't going to cut it down there.
That's
Literally.
right. Mhm.
Check this out. We got and if you can see, we're printing all the different the first batch of the new camera mounts.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah,
Very cool.
we've got our printer farm set up over here, knocking out camera mounts and laser only modules and laser mount. It's awesome. It's great. It's really
Great.
fun. Yeah,
That's
love it.
awesome.
Love it. These printers are really putting in work over here. Yeah, but anything new? And what's everybody up to? Any major projects going on?
I just got big contracts I'm trying to get finished up, but I've got those lasers for you. So I've been testing. They actually do well. They cut through this stuff. They cut through 1/4 inch plywood. So I got to mail them to you. I meant to mail them last week, but I had to finish up a program. So I'm going to get those out today. I just keep meaning to get around to that. So I've got 2. I went through the kits, getting all the together, making sure everything was set for y'all, that everything was good. And so I'll get those mailed out today. They do really quickly. There's some doors on it.
Yeah, that looks
Way
beautiful.
super. Yeah, it's for wine bottles or something, but yeah. So they actually do a really good job. It's not a automatic. It's not electronic Z like I thought it was. It's a manual Z, but you still have a Z. And it's got a focusing arrow and everything, which is really cool. So it has two lasers. It has the diode laser for cutting and a diode laser for centering.
Oh, I thought it was an infrared light or something.
No, it's actually just a regular. It's a regular, just it's just a regular red LED or not LED, red laser. Just a regular red laser that has an X for the to mark where your 0 is, but it doesn't mark the wood. You know what I mean? It's just and then the diode IR laser for the.
Now, are you using any kind of air assist when you're cutting with that, Drew?
No, it didn't need air assist. It's actually pretty good. If you put an air assist on it, it'll actually work really well. I'll get them over. I meant to this week, and then I had to finish a program last week. I had my leadership program finally after 2 freaking years. Finally finished that, and then so I'm finally getting back caught up. But I'll get those out.
What program was it, Drew?
So like in Dallas, Houston, New York, they have the greater chambers do leadership, like leadership New York, leadership San Antonio, and so it's like they pick 50 people a year, and you're involved like in on the transportation and technology committees for the city, and you're involved in different stuff. So like all our mayor, city council, and state representatives and stuff of all, even our congressman here has been through the leadership program. So it's just
Cool.
Yeah, so they're kind of neat. Just what's funny though is like it's for if you want to move your career up, and so everybody's like, "What do you want? What's your career goals?" I'm like, "Buy a tractor, move to the farm." Like I'm getting too old for this, guys.
I had tractor move to a farm.
I don't want a farm. I hate farming, but I just want a tractor so I can do stuff.
Hey, Patrick.
I gotta imagine it's not like normal tractor stuff. It's like, what can I jump with this tractor?
Oh my god! Look at this one. My neighbors got, and it has the forklift. Dude, they pimped this thing out. It's insane. It's the tank one. So they put it here. Exchange. I get to use it for storing it for them. They put the air conditioning system in. They put the glass in. It's got full touch screens, so it has facial recognition when you hop in to start it and everything. And then automatically the buckets, like you attach different forklifts and stuff, it automatically changes them. You just pick which one, pull up to it, automatically unhooks the other one, drops it, and then you pull up to the next one. Yeah, it's freaking crazy. Anyway, some tractors. So that's what I want, a tank track one, just because it'd be fun. Anyway, so what else is going on? How y'all been doing?
Good. Say, Patrick, I have a question for you about the camera stuff. Is that released yet? Can you talk about that?
I can definitely talk about it.
Okay. So
here's one of the prototype
just
mounts, right? So it's, if you know Rui from the community, he released all the info about this in the community like several months ago, and I think he priced it at like $170 or something like that. And it was a little bit high, but man, he did such a great job with it. We reached out and just said, hey, like, would you have any interest in just partnering on it? Because like, obviously MakerMade, we can leverage our sourcing capabilities and manufacturing capabilities and bring the price down. So we were able to get the price down from 170 something was his price point to, we're going to do a pre-launch for $99.
Okay.
That's actually a really good price though, because if you look at what do you call it? Lightburn. So Lightburn offers their camera attachment. It's like $110 for the camera, and then you can 3D print your mount, or you can buy the mount for $35 or so. And so, and there's some that are like $150.
Yeah.
So you're looking at almost $200 for the Lightburn camera.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
we're
that's
doing
a really good price.
This is, and it's 1080p, right? It's I'm trying to think how many frames per, I think it's 64 frames per second, 1080p. So, and it's a wide angle. So it's got like, I want to say it's not 9, it may not be 90.
60. It's probably gonna be 60. It's probably gonna be a 65. 60 or 65 is usually like, because then you have 45, which is normal, 60, 65, or you're 90. And then it goes to like 120 or 180 is usually what I'm seeing.
So I can't remember if it is 90 or if it's less than that, but we ended up determining that like 90 was like
Too much.
So it was like more than you really needed. But yeah, so it's an awesome little camera. We've been testing it, Matt, for a while now, just to confirm that it works. But he did just a fantastic job with it. So
that's so awesome.
It's beautiful. It's really, I mean, like even the snap fit on it is just like really strong. It just slides on there.
Where does it sit then? Does it sit on top of the Z-axis or what?
I'll show you. Hold on. Let me get this guy off. Oh, maybe. There we go. It's supposed to sit on the sled. So it's meant to just kind of sit like right there.
Okay.
Right there, anywhere you want. But you can put it anywhere. But the idea being that you get a really good look at your sled, like if you're in a different room or something, right? He's got it, obviously it's set to where you can connect it to your to Makerverse, and then if you've got a Pi, you can watch it on like your cell phone or something else. But it's really helpful for monitoring projects while you're away, and then recording and seeing like, okay, if something messed up, you can really get a clear view of what actually was the culprit. Right? Was it that, my ring is too high? You can see that the sled starts to bounce, or did I run into a pocket somewhere or a knot in the wood or something, right? It gives you good insight into that. But one of the things I really love about it is the ability to really accurately set your bit zero, your Z0. So it has a really crystal clear view of that bit just touching the material, and you're not like leaning over and like going back to your computer and leaning over, right? It's helpful for all that too. And obviously just recording and capturing like really cool projects you make. It's a lot of fun for that as well. So we wanted to do one. Obviously it's a good holiday gift for $100, but it's our first toe step into cameras ahead of next year, where we're planning to launch this whole new CNC concept. And we need to kind of get our feet wet in spindles and lasers and cameras and all these different things, and even dust collection further, so that we've got our hands wrapped around it for this new product launch coming sometime middle of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. And when's it going to be available?
Next Friday.
Oh, all right.
It'll be available for pre-order. The launch date is set for next Friday. Give us about a 80% chance of hitting that target. We've already got all the materials sourced. We're already printing here, and we're sourcing the internal components. All of it will be built obviously right here in house in the US, which is cool. We've got Kira, who is a mathematician student at the U of A, is our assembly person now. She's awesome. She's been doing a great job helping us prep printers and get laser modules ready and everything. And she's going to be running this too. So,
okay, great. All right, cool. I look forward to it.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, really excited about it. So Rui will be making like a percent on it. So again, another chance for us to engage with the community and get them paid for their input. So
That is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I freaking love it. I just want to keep doing that. I would develop the entire next product with that concept if I could figure out a way to make it work readily. I'm trying to figure out how to make that work, like partnering with you guys, with Casey, with Rui, like, and sharing profit on product launches is the way I just want to do things.
So one thing I'm gonna do to give you all a heads up, I'm killing the prototyping side of the business. I'm just getting frustrated with that. And
Oh,
so
you're
I'm
killing
gonna do
it.
fabrication. Yeah, done. Like
Done.
I'm finishing a few contracts, but we have people that are like, it's hard to explain. They're not following anything. They don't read documentation. They're like coming in, they're like, okay, I need a full product developed. I need it ready to go to manufacturing in like 3 weeks. And I've got like $2,500. I'm like, no, like that's not how it works. And I give them some documentation, but we're spending so much time consulting and educating that it's like, and so I'm at a point where I'm just like, you know what, I'm done with that part. So
yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. That's a tough business to be in.
it is. And so my goal was to make it affordable. There's ways we could do it without, but I can't make it affordable if I do it that way. So I'm just like, you know what, I'm just not doing that.
You either got to be willing to help people at every little teeny tiny step along the way, or take a very hands-off, black and white approach to it, because it's, I think we talked about, like, I was in a business, I had a small business for a while that was helping people get their ideas to market.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was a lot of fun, but man, like, you either got to say, like, I'm going to charge you like a lawyer for every single minute that we're interacting, or I'm going to be doing this out of the goodness of my heart. And like it, because there's just no in between.
That's exactly what I was running into. And there's not. And it's hard. Like that was killing me. And I was just like, okay, there's something like, I just can't do this out of the good of my heart constantly. I'm going to go bankrupt doing that. So,
right.
Then honestly, and then I just like, I enjoy spending time with my kids or anything else. So I'm like, look, I'm going to do this in a way that's enjoyable. So, but so
sure.
One of the things I want to start focusing on once I get these other contracts done is the Maslov stuff, really getting on some of the stuff we're talking about with MakerMade and doing some of those programs. Cause I've been wanting to for the last year, and I just haven't been able to keep up with it because we've had some of these big jobs just been eating me alive. So that'll be perfect for that.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, yeah, there's not much else going on around here, guys. I mean, we're just getting everything prepped for the holidays. I built a third conference table in here. So you all saw if you were on the Small Business Summit, you saw the work surface of it. So that's built. But yeah, I'm going right now. My big project is going back through and getting everything, the 3 size frames updated. Because I think I mentioned that we're going to be moving everybody to 15-foot chains starting next year. And that will coincide with the launch of the brand new Makerverse 2.0, which will have a much simpler calibration process for everybody. So yeah, we're just trying to get everything buttoned up for that. But otherwise, really nothing major going on over here. Just hanging out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where's all the slack gonna go for like the small frames and stuff on a 15-foot chains? Where's all the slack gonna go?
I'll take you out to it.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to see this now.
Actually, I've only got the XL up so far.
What?
Even that. Well, I got them all up, but you can see them here. So.
Yeah, I like it. Y'all are doing the 4 foot by 4 foot, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm so excited. I'm so curious how that's going to do.
It's going to be great. So here's Matt. Here's the expectation. So I've got, even on the XL frame, I've got a little slack here, and I'm just pulling it through this point here rather than trying to manage it up there.
Got it. That's really good idea. Cool.
Right. It's just going to be simpler that way. And so for the mini frame, you might have to just like wrap it back, a few times, but all that does is adds a little extra weight on the sled, and that's a great thing, right?
Do you put the cotter pin through there, or how do you attach those? Do you have them zip tied or what?
Cotter pin here, zip tie here.
Oh, okay. Copy. Okay, thank you.
Yep. So what you'll get is you'll get 6 different colored links on each chain. And again, there'll be three colors, 6 actual colored links. So like a red, 2 reds, 2 greens, and 2 blues or something. I don't know. And each one will be an indication to say, like, okay, when you're first setting up your frame, hang one of the blue. If you're making the XL frame, use the blue markings, right? And hang marking 1 right at the top at 12 o'clock.
Yep.
And then marking number 2 is where the cotter pin goes through. And if you do those 2 things and then you follow our assembly instructions, then you are essentially, for all intents and purposes, calibrated the moment you hang
That's
the one,
great.
because we know those dimensions.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and you can do those for all 3 frames. So I'm hopeful that that'll be a lot easier for everybody.
Okay.
So yeah, and Drew, to your point, like this is that mini guy.
That's I think that's gonna do so well, because not only that, people can fit it in RV and stuff like that. There's some people that want to do ones mobile in their trailers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would market that too. I would just put in your wording somewhere like, you need a mobile one that you can have like in your trailer and stuff. Because I've seen a lot of people ask me about that. I think
Yeah,
that would
for
do
sure.
really well.
And then the great thing about this one too is if you go, oh yeah, I just want a small one to try it out, you can do that. And then if you say, oh well, it's great, I want to up it to the full 4x8. The only pieces of this that you lose are the 2 top beams. You just replace those 2 and then buy more material for the next canvas over, and then you just grow it out that way, and it's all the same parts. So it's really convenient. Oh,
That's great.
Mike, the puppers. Super cute.
What's
What are their
up,
names
guys?
again?
Johnny Cash and June Carter.
Johnny Cash and June Carter.
It's such a Mike name for dogs.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, here's the finished new table.
That's really nice.
Right? Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So
What
Came out really
material is that cut from?
top is a birch, 3/4 birch ply, and then the underpinnings and the legs are just 1x4s and 1x6s.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I just cut these 1x6s up against one another, and then I just take a nail gun and run it through with some glue along there, and then just 3 screws up here. And this thing is, I mean, it's solid, right? It takes no time really to put it together if you're dedicated to it. So just been building out. We got multiple of them. Just keep
How
adding.
did you, Patrick? How'd you get the top so shiny? You put polyurethane on it, or what?
Actually, this one hasn't been polyed. It's just a weathered gray. Is it weathered gray? Let me see. I don't even think it's an all-in-one. I think it's just, Rust-Oleum
Oh,
weathered gray.
it looks really nice.
Yeah, thanks. So I might poly it, but it hasn't produced any splintering or anything. Have any of you all done the iron-on banding around the edge?
No.
I really want to try that. I've got some here, but I just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, you just use an iron.
Right.
You're gonna use the iron on? I have the plastic stuff that I've used. I have a big roll of that stuff somewhere. It's like the rounded plastic that they have on the edge, the soft plastic.
Uh-huh.
And you don't iron it on; it just literally glues on.
Oh, that's nice.
It's
I'd
like
rather
it's this
glue
stuff.
on.
Yeah, it's this stuff, like this stuff right here. You know what I mean, the plastic on these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can also there's some that you can just route a little line down and it snaps in.
Yeah, like in the middle.
Yeah, but
that's
I have some
nice.
that glue on. The glue ones actually worked well. I don't know where the damn roll is right now.
Check out.
Yeah, I do the ones with the circles for my sister. When I would cut the circles out, she would do that.
These are the bases to all the cameras.
Good. I need one.
Here's the tops. Well, those ones got screwed up, but here's the tops. Here's a 91 millimeter laser clamp that just got printed, and here's a bunch more over here.
Crapping out.
Manufacturing line. Is that fun? Love it. Cool. I've got that holiday guide. I'm working on it right now. So I've got items from everybody that responded to that post. Different products from everybody's shops that we'll be sharing out with the community. So Lauren, I was just going to go onto your Instagram and pick something out there as well. But is there anything in particular that you want me to choose as like a holiday buying guide? Here's our recommended item from Lauren's company.
I missed that post. There's so many of them. Honestly, there's a bunch of those ornaments. If you just want to grab some of those ornaments, it's really whatever you think will best fit into the store.
Cool.
Because I'm turning those out like crazy on the weekends. I'm cutting up to upwards of almost 100.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
You said you got
Trying to keep
that
up with
order
them.
for 100 of them, like right on the call the other day.
Yeah. The real thing we're running into now is some people are like, oh, we'll spend all kinds of money. Other people are like, oh, can you cut the price down? And I'm like, you can go anywhere else you want to and try to find this price, and you're not going to find it. And they
They're
usually
gonna
end up
come back.
That's been my problem with
Yeah.
I finally got to the point where I had people. I was like, I know my prices were way cheaper than anything else anybody would touch. So I just finally got to the point like, go shop around. I had like, good luck, and they always come back. This is their screwed.
Yep.
I'm like, if they try to do that, there's
On second thought, how do I save face but still come back and say that I was wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of me being you just petty is wants to be like, well, it's $5 more now.
Right.
I've done that for jobs. I've literally done that for jobs where they came back and I told them we were backlogged for big jobs. Not for the little stuff, but for the prototype stuff. I was like, okay, well, it's an extra $5,000 now because I've got a backlog now.
Yeah, there you go. Drew, is there
a lot of them? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask Drew if there's anything from Can Opener, any products this year that you're planning to sell, like the dumpster fire, or anything that you want me to rep on the holiday
I
shopping
do.
day?
I really want to. I've got to figure one out. I really haven't had a chance to get to it, and so I'm way behind. I should have that already done by now, so I can have all our be ready for like Black Friday and everything else.
Yeah,
but,
I want to launch it November 1st. That's
yeah,
the goal.
I'm gonna try. I'm trying to get. I've got 2 big jobs I've got to get out, and I've tried hiring mechanical engineers, everything else. They've all crapped out, so I'm literally the mechanical engineer, everything right now, and the guy that also plunges all the toilets. Every time somebody clogs the toilet, and all the joy of getting to be or everything.
Say everybody, like it's not just you that's doing that, Drew. Who did this?
We have 8 bathrooms. I'm like, how can y'all clog all 8 toilets? It's killing me.
Man. What's the diet at Can Opener Labs these
I
days?
know. I'm like, seriously, are y'all eating the chicken poop? You're supposed to eat the eggs.
Yeah. High fiber diets.
Yeah.
So I was going to tell you, I'm working another, y'all probably seen the classic. It's like the old model Ford truck with a Christmas tree in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working one of those, the design for one of those. It's efficient. It's got a lot of, I'm trying to finesse how much detail that I want in the ornament. So that'll be what I'm trying to finish up, and I can put on the web page as well. I'm basically, it's taken some time to get all those on the page, all the ornaments and stuff. A lot of them just trying to put the description, but not too much stuff. So, and trying to do that in between cuts. The wife wants me outside cutting and not on her computer whenever she's working. So,
for sure,
you should be able to just take some of those off the page when I'm done adding, because I should by this weekend have all the ornaments added to the actual marketplace.
Sweet. Oh, awesome.
Really, there's a lot of those ornaments, and I'm going back and adding the ones for like Easter and stuff. Like we got some bunnies and all kinds of weird things like that. I'm adding some of those. I've got all the pictures moved over and ready to download to the page, but I haven't actually, I think I've downloaded them to the page. I just hadn't put everything in the marketplace yet.
Gotcha.
I've got another laser or another 3D printer for you too, Lauren. I was gonna send you because I'm going through and like trying to clean up and get rid of a bunch of my stuff I just have stored, and I have so many 3D printers that were given to me. So I was gonna send you another one too, so you could get some of your projects going.
I mean, I'm not gonna complain, Drew. Like, I will always smile and send you stuff back.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good. I've just got to figure out which one. I want to make sure they're all good. I have piles of them. Some I've rebuilt. I've got some I haven't. So I was going to go through them, make sure everything is good before. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking. We're seriously looking at December time frame. I really want to go ham in December and just to see what happens. My real concern right now is to turn out 100 ornaments come out to like 9 hours worth of cutting time. And it's almost a full sheet of MDF or plywood. And that's spaced out, I think it is like a 1/4 inch apart.
Wow.
What size are you doing? What thickness? What are you doing? You're doing the quarter? What thickness are you doing?
We're doing all 1/2 inch. The 1/4 inch was just a little too thin.
Okay.
You could do it. The problem is all the 1/4 inch we could get a hold of, the veneer was just trash. The veneers were just horrible. And then when you would cut that, a lot of the like when we're doing multiple layers and not just a single layer, once you cut below the veneer, it was just trash underneath.
When you were doing that, what was your depth on that? I was having the same trouble. But the deeper you go, the better it is.
Yeah. So that's the challenge is the deeper you go, the more of a pain it is to clean it up sometimes. I was gonna say I don't have it here. I wish I was at the house. I've really got my cleanup refined now. If you haven't bought one, go, especially if you're doing cleanup on real tight spaces, go online to like Amazon or any bit store. And this is something, Patrick, you may want to add to the store, is you can buy, you know what a deburr bit is?
Deburring bits. Yep. They're good for the Dremels too.
Yeah, they're great for Dremel, but if you put them in your router and you put it on the lowest setting, it won't dig near as much as it'll clean up. So a lot of you get those fuzzies and the bottom, you can just real quick zap it around, because I was getting a lot of those little fuzzies in my older, like I'm basically going through all my scrap wood right now. And if it's bigger than like 8 inches by 8 inches, I'm cutting ornaments out of it. I'm just like cleaning all the scrap wood out of the garage.
We did something too to get that deburring. Like, so we didn't deburr this, but this is a sign we just did for the San Antonio Beer Fest. I don't know if you have to see it.
Yeah.
It's on the but we didn't deburr it or anything. We just left it we liked it rough. So we left it perfectly rough. It's all that like purple foam board. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that do like that look. I'm a perfectionist, and if I'm gonna sell something, like if somebody asks for it, I'm gonna give it to them like that. But I basically took one of my trim routers, because I have a collection at this point, and it's just my dedicated. I put an 1/8 inch deburr bit, and it works like a sander, except it's really clean cut. And I put a custom like extra large base that I can use both my hands to hold and just zap it around real quick, clean it up. I was also going to tell you, Patrick, so I found, because I'm going through bits like crazy right now, cutting out so much stuff. If y'all can have, like, I found it on Amazon. I don't know if y'all may be able to create it cheaper or better, because they're not that great. They don't go that long. But I was buying 5 bits for $20.
Just 1/8 inch.
Yep, just 1/8 inch bits. Also, I was having some issues. You know, like when you put a collet in a collet, right? Anytime you start stacking collets, like there's a chance they're going to catch and they're not going to grip really well. Because the plastic pieces that come on y'all 1/8 inch bits, they wear out over time. Like it don't take that much time. They rub, and just the centrifugal force starts to separate over time, right? That plastic piece, and it comes off. What I did is I found these collets that you can buy. They go from 1/2 inch all the way down to 1/8 inch. You can buy them. I strongly recommend y'all put them in the store, and there's different versions. It's a great way. I think it cost me $10 on Amazon.
If you send me the link, I can put it on the website. Like
it's just a great, and it works. It's worked fantastic. Doesn't take much clamping, but they make better ones. You may know what I'm talking about, Drew, like the ERG, like 20s, ER15s, like they're custom collets for CNC machines.
Are they just
they look like just like that board you make. They make a bunch of them like that, and they go for all kinds. But if y'all can get in a partnership, boy, they clamp with very minimal force. You know, sometimes when you're working with 1/8 inch bits, you really got to clamp it down. It doesn't take much, and it would be a great one stop. You have one there? Yep. Yeah. So
this is for the big CNCs, but these collets are nice because you can easily just snap in, snap out your end mills. But they have little ones for little routers, because like this one I have like a chuck system for it. So if I want to run a chuck system, I can have a chuck system.
Yep. But yeah, like pull the can you pop the collet out of that one?
Yeah. Let me get the collet out. Let me see here. So like this one has a collet system in it.
Yeah, that's one right there. It's an ER15, ER12, one of the two, or ER20. They're excellent, and they tighten down so well.
No,
ER16. Yeah, it's ER16 on that one.
Lauren, does that fit in your router? How do you?
Yeah, so you can actually buy them. There's websites you can go. I spent a whole Saturday. I was cutting in the garage. I come in and search on the computer, and you can buy them for almost every router out there.
This ER16 will fit my router. This will fit the rigid. So the shoe is for the big mill to pop in and pop out, but that ER16 will fit it.
Yeah, it's an ER. Yeah, I think they have specific ones for each, because in a router you have a V, right, in the actual cone that the collet kind of sits in, and as that you press down, that's what clamps the collet together. And really where it matters is when you get into those 1/8" bits. And then one of the guys online, because I also have a Bosch router, he showed the variation of when you're trying to get accuracy, and obviously like it's well under what a MakerMade, but he was getting a variation of like up to like over 1,000th variation when his bit was spinning. And then he plugged it in with the ER collets and it got almost 0. Like and these were micrometers getting very, very tight tolerances. But it was just the change speed of actually having those collets available when you're going through bits, and you're really, because anytime you have that bit deflection or real bad, I mean, you're dulling your bit every time or you're damaging it. That's just kind of all these things is I'm really trying to dial in the machine for faster use. And really where it ran into is when I was running those cuts and trying to avoid having to buy, high dollar bits that neck down to 1/16 of an inch or neck down to 1/8 of an inch because they cost more when they neck down.
Yeah.
When I could buy on Amazon these cheap bits and just run through them.
Oh, sure. Sure.
So I spent $40 for yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they clip right into a lot of your collets. Like you just basically have to take your collet assembly apart for your router and they pop right back in.
Well, if that's the one you like, then that makes things easy for me.
They do a great job.
let me see.
That's why that's the only collets you're going to find on the big end mills, because especially like that, this one that I was running on was 150 horsepower mill. So
Yeah.
if that, it'll rip apart a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I ran into a problem. I thought I lost my calibration on my Z-axis, and I realized that the bit was slowly, ever so slowly slipping up. Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's one. Yep.
So
There's a massive car right there.
Oh yeah, you bomb in a set. Yeah, no, they're absolutely. I didn't see anybody else recommending them out there. But I was actually running into one of my cheap bits. Right, it was slowly, just ever so slowly creeping up. And I was like, maybe my Z-axis is not calibrated. And for some reason, I never thought to check the bit. And then I realized like I was slowly going down and the bit was just slowly going up in the machine or into the router. And then, yeah, I don't know why I kept using my spiral bits on MDF. I cannot recommend enough. Don't waste your spiral bits on MDF. I was just dulling them like crazy.
What do you use on MDF then?
I almost exclusively just use a straight bit. They do almost the exact same cut. And if you've played with MDF much, you know that like it'll leave a lot of fuzzies, but a light sanding with 180 grit, 220 grit takes almost all of the fuzzies out. Like just barely even need to hit it. So when I go through my cleanup, as soon as I pull the letters off the board, a lot of them are letters, I just go straight to the sander, hit them with a sander with like, I don't know, just like less than 10 seconds each. Just pat them with the sander and then turn around and just put them through the router to clean up the tabs. MDF cleans up extremely quickly. And that's
How long do those bits last on the
using
MDF?
Do what?
How long do the bits last with the MDF?
That was the challenge. The spiral bits were only lasting through maybe 2 boards, because I'm taking up every bit of space I can with an 4x8 sheet, and they may last through 2 of them full of cuts, and they were just gone. And I'm like, I'm dropping $40, $50 a bit. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm making my money, but I literally picked up 5 for $18 on Amazon with just over 3/4 inch of cutting, or no, I'm sorry, it was not even 3/4 of an inch. That's the challenge, is matching it to the board you're cutting.
Yep.
So, because obviously you need at least 3/4 inch cutting to 3/4 inch material, but a lot of our material we're stepping away from 3/4 inch because customers don't want to pay for it and it's so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, like if you look at an ornament that's 3/4 of an inch thick, it looks a little weird. It becomes kind of blocky. But the 1/2 inch looks pretty clean, especially if you do any roundovers or chamfers on them, they look really clean.
What you may do for fun, and just to try this. So let me find my big end mills here. Yeah. So if you look at there's another one that's a really interesting type of collet here.
Oh, that's a beefy collet.
You can get one smaller too, but do you call it? But the end mills for these, you can get end mills for the big mills that will fit the routers. And I was trying to find one. Now, this is a massive surfacing end mill, but it weighs like 100 pounds. But there's ones that there's some end mills. I have one of these that has like regular 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch end mills in it. And so you can get one end mills like those, and they're tough. But they're pretty expensive. But if you wanted one that's like just your one for certain projects that you want to last for a long time, those do really well. And there is some that I've actually taken out the big shoes for the big mill and used in the Maslow.
Yeah, Patrick, I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna find these on my phone. I don't have Amazon on my work computer. I'm gonna find these. I'm gonna shoot them to your Facebook page. If that's okay.
Yeah,
These links to
absolutely.
the orders I did.
Please.
But like I said, the bits aren't great. Like I would be easily willing to spend more money if the bits were better.
Mhm.
I have no need at this point. I've got 3 upcut bits, and for what the M2 does, they're really only in backup if one of my other bits goes down. Downcut is so much better.
Yeah.
Of a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just not running at a speed that you're worried about. Like I understand the need for an upcut on like a high speed machine where you're trying to get those chips out.
Mhm.
We're not able to run at those paces.
That's true.
Yeah. It's just not going to be able to do much.
Yeah, we definitely recommend the downcut more than the up for most instances, for sure.
But
yeah,
give my phone. I
but
don't know
you're
what
right.
it is.
It may just be that we don't even need to include. Like I'm all about with our router bit strategy. I'm all about like simplifying. Like there's no need for 9 out of 10 projects. There's 9 out of 10 users. They're not going to need 1,000 specialty bits. They're going to need like a bread and butter bit, right? They're
Oh no, 100%. I think I have close to 120 bits. Like I'm not kidding. Like I got a problem.
That's bonkers.
And I use 10 of them total ever.
Right.
Like I don't know why my phone's it's just blank. I'm not winning today with my phone and electronics, but yeah.
You got some. Yeah,
do what, Mike? Or is it?
Do what? Yeah, by all means, Lauren, please feel free to share it.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot it to you. It's running slow. I've got my old orders pulled up because really, I mean, most of us are running routers with a 1/2 inch collet already in it, like it's designed that way. But the ability to go from a 1/2 inch all the way down to an 1/8 inch and not go from a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, because a lot of them, well, some of them come with a 1/4 inch to an 1/8 inch. But I have a whole bunch before I even got the M2. I had those 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch collets, and they're okay, but they're just not as good as a nice or as a more higher quality one. They work, but if you're going to put anything longer than a few minute cut over time, like I really have to clamp them down, and they just don't hold up as well.
Right.
But so far, this 1/8 inch, I've put a few hours through it, and it's locked in.
Good stuff. Well, I'm glad to hear about the collets. That's your recommendation, because that's the way I'm trying to get us to move right now from a collet standpoint, especially for the next product launch, that Millie.
Yeah, it definitely warns. But I hadn't even thought about that. Those collets do make a massive difference on stopping slip.
And like I said, like it's not like the M2 is designed to you can get it easily within a millimeter. So like the ERs are probably a little bit of overkill because they're designed to get it within less than 1,000 or 10,000th. Right. It's less than a 10,000th of variation, which is like overkill. But you ain't got to worry about that bit slipping at all with very little force.
Right. Yeah, totally worth it. I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is that like one of the biggest challenges with the M2 is just all the little teeny tiny things that could happen, right? There's a dozen different things that if you don't do your pre-flight checklist, essentially, right, then you have a greater risk of having to cancel that cut halfway through.
Well, I was actually curious. I almost put it out the other day. Like for me, I turn my machine on, and the first thing I do is I test my axes. So all three, just quick 10 millimeters up, 10 millimeters down, 2 millimeters left, right, and then Z axis just to see if it works. Just because I've ran into that mistake where I immediately went into a cut
Mhm.
and it was one day my right motor, just the cord from blowing off the machine and cleaning it up had just barely come loose, and
Yep.
it just wasn't working. And yeah,
Yeah,
and I've
checking
grown.
your connects. Yeah, there's all
Yep.
those things you got to do for sure.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. I move at least 100 millimeters in X and then in Y, and then I use the diagonal to go back home. And I make sure I make it back to home before I do anything else.
Yeah, and then I have to renege on something I told you before, Patrick. I don't know if you remember. I complained about the ringing and the buzzing. It has become my friend. Now I walk over like a double check. Hey, is it ringing? And put my ear up. Okay, it's
Right?
ringing. Double
Yeah.
check. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's good to go. It's good to
You
go.
put your ear next to the motor. It's ringing. Good.
Okay, it's safe. It's running fine.
Between all the 50 cal shooting 50 cals and my motorcycle wreck, I have tetanitis in my left ear. So, or I already call it
Tinnitus?
whatever it's called, whatever rings. But yeah, it's so. At this point, like the buzzing doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Well, sometimes-
You gotta go to the range more often, Lauren. You'll be good.
Oh, trust me. That's why I have to put my head near it at this point, because I don't hear it otherwise.
I call it the motor dance. You got to check the
Yeah.
right, the center,
motor
then the
dance.
left. It's how I do it every time. Yep.
Hey, Patrick, are you getting these? I'm sending them on your Facebook. I don't know if you're getting them. I'm just wanna
I
make
haven't.
sure.
I am not on Facebook right now. I can take a look. See, I'm sure we are though.
I need to send you out pictures of Beer Fest sign too. I took pictures of
Yeah.
it through the whole process. I need to do that. Sorry.
Would
Been trying
love
to
to
keep up
see
with
it.
everything.
Are you posting these in the owners group or in the MakerMade Facebook page originally?
No, I'm sending them directly to you. My
Oh,
internet service is
Yep.
incredibly slow.
I got 'em.
In
Yep.
the building that I'm in. That's why I was hoping you could pull them up and share them directly. I'm just at
Yeah.
work and my service is horrible.
It's fun. So Google Fiber is dropping Google Fiber in the neighborhood now. So they started putting signs up everywhere on the street saying, hey, and it's a construction sign call if you're having issues or for blocking a drive or whatever. Except we call them every day because at first I called them and the line was like, well, we can't tell you. We can only tell you like how long we've blocking your driveway. So I've been asking like, when are we gonna have fiber? When are we gonna have Google Fiber? And so I've been calling them every day now saying, y'all aren't blocking my driveway yet. Please hurry, block my driveway. I need fiber.
For the love of God, inconvenience me.
I won't say inconvenience. Block my damn driveway. Just give me Google Fiber for God's sakes.
I'll tell you, it is lovely having it up here in Kansas City. It's wonderful to have Google Fiber.
Wait for me. We have it at the office. We have gigabit fiber at the office, but no, I don't have it at home yet.
They're slowly getting to you, Patrick.
Hey, have y'all seen that show, $1 Billion Coin or $1 Billion Code on Netflix? Oh, it just came out. It talks about how supposedly what Google didn't want you to hear, and how supposedly Google Earth was the first one to come out, but there was someone else that actually came out with it before. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I just started seeing yesterday. So
Google kind of snagging technology.
Yeah, something like that. It was
Man,
like
what major
was
tech
pretty
company
cool.
has ever done that before?
Yeah, I know, right?
Certainly not Microsoft or Apple or Dell or Amazon or Amazon has a patent on a white background image.
What?
They patented the white backdrop image and bullied their way into getting it accepted. So Amazon actually has a patent on just white backgroundless images. Just FYI.
Well, they haven't come after my company that does that as well.
Right?
So
Same.
My thing for that is you have to have money. If you're poor, nobody wants to see you.
So they invented the white background before the JPEG format came out, and
I forget exactly, Dustin, what the specific claim is, but there are two patents that they own. There's that one, and it's like it literally shows like a camera and then like an image, object A, and then it's like white backdrop. Like that's what they claim.
Yeah.
And then the other one is one touch checkout or one click checkout. No other .com company is allowed to claim one click checkout because Amazon technically owns a patent on that concept.
Right. I'll just sell it as single click. It's
Single
fine.
click. Ooh, I love it. Sub 2-click checkout.
That's awful.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Patrick.
You
and
might have an
maybe
answer.
you maybe I don't know. I'm just gonna ask it. I'm looking to is there a way that I can modify my machine's zero z-axis number or value? Or is there some documentation that I can go and change that?
In what way are you trying to modify it?
So I want to get it more accurate to the actual zero of my z-axis, where it is on my z-axis.
On the actual linear rails.
Yeah, because right now I'm within probably 5 millimeters when the machine says it's around 30 from the bottom.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And
So,
I removed the soft limits. I don't know, like day 3, because
yeah,
I made a mistake and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But the solution was remove soft limits and then just play around with it until I figured it out. But now I'm noticing my z-axis where it is in the real world doesn't seem to match the software itself.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough, right? Because again, like we've talked about before, it's a matter of ensuring that your router is situated in the same spot each time and your bit is situated in the same spot. Like your plunge 0 on your actual rails are also dependent on the locations of those two things.
Yep.
Within the clamp too. So yeah, in terms of resetting, yeah, I mean, you can go through the calibration widget on your Z and reset, but like in the new 1.1.5 version of Makerverse, primarily what you're just doing is resetting your Z work
Workspace.
offsets,
Yeah.
right? And so I've done that too, where I've gone like, okay, I'm calibrated to 0, but let me adjust after I reset my router or my bit in there, and then get it either elevated or plunged all the way to get those things aligned. But yeah, it's more of like in a hardware aspect than it is like in a software aspect in the way that I tend to do it. But maybe I'm not understanding exactly how you're wanting to
Well,
accomplish it.
if I turn on my soft limits, it's going to hit the bottom of the soft limits well before I ever get to the bottom of my actual z-axis area. That's what I'm trying to change.
Gotcha. Okay, I see why now. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Then I think I don't mess around with the Z as much. So I think this might be a question for Zane, but yeah, I would just go through your Z calibration again and redo it from there.
Okay.
Have you done that before? Have you tried to redo your Z calibration?
No, everything's great. I don't want to mess with it.
Oh yeah, see.
But yeah,
So,
I can do that.
You just want to say it's great. Don't change any of my movement metrics or anything. Just raise it by
you've seen
15 millimeters.
You've seen the letters I'm cutting out. I'm happy with that. I don't want to mess with any of that. It's just, sometimes I'm getting a little bit closer using that 16th inch bit. It only has cutting space for 1/2 inch. So it's a lot shorter bit than an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch bit that came with the M2. So I'm getting a lot closer to that bottom, and I am bottoming out sometimes, and I'm watching it very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
When it hits that, and I stop it immediately before it goes too far and does any damage. But I just want to try to get that so that I can set that bottom z-axis limit to within 5 millimeters of it actually physically bottoming out.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could get it there. I'm sure. I think it would. I don't know about hard resets to those values. I'm sure there's a command you can put in that would allow you to do that. That would be my assumption. But again, you got 3.8 inches of total travel there. So like the amount, I try not to get it all the way down there. I like to leave myself at least like 1/4 to 1/2 inch gap there, just to be on the safe side. But you've got more travel than you probably need one way or the other. So that's why I don't tend to try and get it perfectly aligned with the bottom.
I can go much higher than I can go low, is what I'm discovering. especially where I'm putting my router to make sure I'm minimizing all the deflection. And then, like I said, because of that bit being so much shorter than anything else that I've got.
Yeah, but being able to travel much higher than you can down means to me you've got it set right. You know, like that's
Okay.
how we talk about chucking up on or choking up on
Yep.
both the bit and the router. It sounds like you're in the right spot for it to reduce bit deflection. So yeah, you probably could adjust your values. Practically speaking, I'm not sure how, you know, maybe it does have some value, but yeah, that's an interesting question. Let me pose it to, let me see if Chris can answer that real quick.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
on.
and
So
maybe,
I ran into this exact same thing, Dustin.
okay.
But I ran into it. I was choked up, but when I tried to move up to cut foam that was 1.5 inches thick with a really long bit, knowing that like, okay, foam is going to provide little to no resistance. It's going to cut just fine. You run into those soft limits because if you realize your soft limit's literally 1 inch both directions. That's how they have them set up. So I ended up having to, the quickest way for me to solve the problem was actually to go back to 1.1.4. And my recommendation is they update the software. I like the quick select buttons, but to allow you to go into the Z axis and allow you like a hidden menu to select and then zero out the machine zero as well. But they took all of that completely away. And it only matters when you're going outside those soft limits, because even if you zero out the work, that soft limit is still affecting that machine limit. And so that's the kind of challenge I ran into. I was noticing that honestly, like looking at how the machine is built, the machine could in the future easily add a soft limit switch to the Z axis. You can't, it's hard to do. It would be very hard to do it to the X and Y, but it'd be very easy. I mean, you just look at any 3D printer that already has a soft limit switch on it, and it'd be designed the exact same way. But as it stands now, I think I may have it still in my inbox. I think Patrick sent it. You can go to Makerverse and back up one, because it's not even all 1.15. It's just the latest version. Currently has they took that additional option out.
Yeah.
I don't think the average person you don't need to do it that often, but if you're switching materials or a really thick material or something like that, because there's times like I have cutting board material that's 1.5 inches thick, and if I wanted to do something really unique or the handles, then I need to be able to access that range, and you can't with the soft limits engaged.
Yep.
So it's just,
okay.
I don't know. Like I said, I went back in the software just because I was swapping material so often, and it was just being a pain. I was just annoyed by it, and me being annoyed is not a good thing for my wife. So yeah, I just went back temporarily to it.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. That reminds me, there was something else. I put it in the MakerMade forums. I made a little video of me putting my machine, coming back from it being asleep. And I noticed that the unlock option was missing. The only option was to reset, which means I lost all of my values. Did you see that, Patrick?
I've seen that happen on mine.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is definitely, we're aware of that glitch.
All right.
There's that one. And then there's like even with the table I just cut out, I had to repair it with some wood filler because like every once in a while when I tell it to jog back home, it just forgets to unplunge the Z and then it just takes off, right? And that's just such a pain when it does that, because it should always unplunge 5mm and then roll over. And sometimes it does it seems to do it, and sometimes it just doesn't. So there's a couple of those.
Are you having those issues with easel? Are you using easel for when you're doing your G code?
Yeah, I'm definitely generating all my G code in easel.
See, I've had support tickets and people like that with easel. I've had issues with easel. That's me personally. So I went to Carbide Create, and then from Carbide Create, I ended up getting a Spider, as you know.
The biggest challenge I seem to have with easel is that their G code creation is so inefficient.
Yeah.
Like just monstrously inefficient. That's why, like, so we're, again, we're launching 2.0 Makerverse start of next year. And, one of the first next up features we want is G-code creation baked into the software. So you can just upload your SVGs and drop them in and roll. And the biggest part of that, aside from like the obvious selectors that you need that I want to include, is just G-code optimization. Because there's like, I mean, as slow as this machine is relative to, industrial CNC, you can speed it up just by probably 30-40% just by optimizing the piss poor code creation that something like Easel creates, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this table should have taken me an hour and 20 minutes at most to cut out the engraving paths, and it took over 4 hours because it was so inefficient and then repetitious. Even some of the lines I was creating, like Easel interpreted it as like 2 or 3 passes of the same line. Like there's nothing else here. I go into Illustrator, there's nothing else in the file. So I don't know if you all have that same kind of problem with Carbide Create, but I'm thinking about switching over just for that reason.
A little bit.
It's not as bad.
Yeah.
As Carbide Create. It's not as bad, but it is still not great.
So one of the things I'm noticing about Carbide Create is it doesn't show you a time lapse of the cut.
No, it does not.
It just shows you the finished. And that's one thing I liked about Easel is I could watch it at like 3 times playback or 4 times playback. And I can catch it, especially when I'm cutting out these letters. I can catch it when it's not cutting out the center of an O before it cuts the outside. And I missed that. Carbide Create didn't do that correctly for me on one of my letters, and I actually cut the outside shape and then tried to cut the inside, and that tore it out of the tabs just because of the torque and everything that's going on there.
Surprised it did that.
But yeah, that's the thing that surprises me and annoys me about the decisions on the G code. I just haven't found a piece of software that actually does that reliably yet.
Gotcha.
No, it's always a balance to like, do you want to edit your G code, but then you're taking the time to do it? Like, where do you want to spend your time? I see that all the time when I'm cutting or making specific cuts, and like V-carve. Anytime you get in the V-carve, man, you're talking about repetition pass. It just gets brutal.
Yeah.
But I have found the Patrick right now, the software, I'm 99% sure software is what's limiting the machine to 40 inches per minute.
Really?
Because I basically ran many simulations as like testing the numbers, and it's because the software will only ramp motors up so fast. And that's what's causing the dips and the weird things. But the sweet spot I've comfortably ran now, obviously with 1/8 inch bits, at 35 to 40 inches per minute with almost perfection. Where you start running into issues. And at first I was getting frustrated. I was like, my calibration's off. And I know I said it during that meeting, my bits were dulling. And anytime your bit starts to dull, it starts to drag. Now you can compensate by slowing the machine down and giving it more time.
Yeah.
But I put a fresh bit in and that baby cuts smooth and fast. So it's
like having bad tires on a car, right? Doesn't matter how
good the car is. Yeah, like I ramped up the and another reason why I know it's software. So I ramped up the Z-axis, right? Have you increased the Z-axis to see what it does?
I haven't increased it above 15.
So I did it at like 20.
Nice.
And I watched the Z-axis go down and pop back up. So I was doing a pocket and I kept noticing this little divot. And I was like, what's going on with these random divots?
Yeah.
And the software written for the motors doesn't match, because those motors can go faster, but it literally would divot and then pop back out to be like, and it's not like that machine, like that weight of that bit's carrying the motor down faster than it should be. It literally goes too far and then corrects itself, comes back to the right height, because it's absolutely calibrated perfect. I'm talking like when I do those paw prints, when all those pockets are the states, it's perfect, like almost no cleanup. But it's the software. I don't know if you can talk to them, because I truly believe this machine is capable of 60 inches per minute. If you're willing, if you beef up your sled and make it 30 to 35 pounds,
yeah,
like I'm confident if the software is adjusted, you can do 60 inches per minute. The challenge is assuming certain variables, you've taken the time to get quality bits that can take the chip load. Because a lot of those bits that we have, the chip load's designed for 80 inches per minute or more.
Right.
So like, assuming they're sharp, they work great.
Yeah. Yeah. The bits should
obviously,
not
like
be
a
the limiting
16
factor.
Yeah,
Sure.
the 16th of an inch bit, obviously you gotta, like, that's a very, very thin bit. But and Dustin, you said you were cutting yours at 20 inches per minute, right?
Yeah.
That's still a decent pace for a 16th inch bit.
Yeah, I'm cutting really shallow. I mean, I'm doing almost a 32nd of an inch, just a little bit shy of that. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it, from doing the half the diameter rule. It's a little bit shallower. I think it's 0.025 is what I have for the depth on that of an inch.
Well, see, I've ran, because I just sent you that link to those bits. I ran those, and they're cheap bits. They're 1/8 inch bits, and I'm cutting at over an 1/8 inch thick. And
Oh wow.
no deviation. And I literally looked up feed and speeds off of some other CNC websites, and the 1/2 inch is a recommendation, obviously, but that's a safety recommendation. The speed and the feed load for those bits for the chips, it's easily more than what people realize. I was just like, if I break a bit that cost me $3, so be it. I'll go get another.
And also, it all depends on what you're cutting, because every single material is completely different.
Oh no, 100%. And I'm referencing MDF and plywood. Obviously, like oak or another hardwood is going to drastically change that. But MDF and plywood, there's different feeds and speeds, especially if you go on like Tools Today. They have like quick printable PDFs that I keep near my machine just to verify speeds for the router. But yeah.
I was just thinking about your topic a few minutes ago about how the Z-axis was going down real fast and it pops back up, and it seems like it's like overcorrecting or something like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's a pulling of the motor positions. Like it's not checking on it fast enough.
Well, see, I tried that. I tried to increase the ping, but I didn't see any, what I'm saying, like the number per second to see if that would help. And I thought that was the case with the X and Y, but the Z axis should be like, there's no weight variation when it comes to Z axis. All those variables should not exist for a Z axis, but it still does the exact same thing as the X and Y does. It overcorrects and then comes back to the original exact position. The machine does a pretty damn good job of like knowing where it's supposed to be. I think it's a software issue. I can't verify because I don't know the coding, but I'm 99% sure it's a software situation. And just the experimentalist in me wants to see if you can match it. Because when I looked up the stepper motor speeds, they're supposed to be able to go way faster than we're pushing them. I even looked up the type of stepper motor.
You look up this type of motor?
Yeah, I think it was able to handle like, it was like, don't quote me on that. It was like almost 100 revolutions or more a minute. It made it more than that, maybe 200. It was way faster than what it's doing now.
Yeah, they can turn pretty. I mean, they're not made to be. These are worm drives. They're
Right.
not made to be super fast, but they can turn, I think, faster than what they are. I don't think motors are the limiting factor. I've always
You're
built
like
the
160
graphics models.
RPM. I think you're at 160 RPM or no. Y'all are at like 50 RPM worm gear, right?
So
I
that's
can't
the
remember
thing.
what the MakerMade worm gears are.
But they can go faster than that without an issue. That's the
Well,
challenge
you
is.
want to be careful how much you push your worm gear. So they are set rated for an RPM. And so like for some projects, if I need the worm gear to be able to move really fast, I'll make sure the RPMs for the worm gear, because you can you can push it, but you also lose force too. So if you push them. So like I have a ton of worm gears and I have some that go all the way up to like 320 RPM. So but my torque's like, I think like 2.5 kilonewtons torque on those 320s versus, unless I step really big. But I think those are like 50 RPM. So there is going to be theoretically a limit. You can't push it past it, but it depends on the RPM set for those based on the gearing ratio for the force they're going to have. And I think those are 15 kilonewton motor, 15 kilonewton force. So they're strong. They're super strong. But so if you push them to, but I think they are like 50 RPM, because I tried to use some off my other Mazdal for some stuff, and I end up having to step to 160 RPM worm gear.
50 RPM would be way beyond where we're at right now.
I know you're at 100% right, Drew. Like there is a limit, but that's why I'm comfortably saying, like, because I've turned them up to 60 inches per minute, and they will move at that pace. The problem is they don't move. They're constantly like vastly correcting themselves as they go. It does in a steady state.
That's
knowing, you know,
because you're pushing it past the speed. So what's happening is you're losing steps. So in there, you're just looking at it's when you're going to be missing steps in that. So it's not like a regular stepper motor in there. It's a regular DC motor in those. But the gear ratio, you can't step. Oh no, wait, those are the stepper gear, worm gears. So, but you are going to lose. If you go too fast past that RPM, you're going to be skipping. You're going to be skipping steps on those.
You're saying the motor is not receiving all the steps?
It will, but it's going to be skipping because there's a couple phases. The way they pulse, and so the way the motor controller works in pulsing the magnets in there to do those steps for each degree. So I think those are a quarter degree steppers, 50 RPM. I can't remember what or eighth. But each step is a percent of a degree, so like 0.125 degrees for every step. And what happens is you start pushing it beyond that speed limit. They're also, what's happening is the pulse. It's somebody losing track of how many pulses it had. Because those are also.
I understand. It's like skipping frames. It's yeah.
Kind of. It's not the actual controller itself. It's the motor itself is going to be pushing outside what it can, and so it's getting feedback. So those motors have a feedback, so they could know those are 6 up. And so if they're going to get off track, if they're seeing that and it skips, the magnet skip a step, they're going to freak out. It's going to have a hard time reading the values that's coming back from the motor. If you get 160, you can get, if you go on Amazon, look, you can just make sure you get there's 2-wire, there's 4-wire, and there's 6-wire. If you get a 6-wire, you can actually you can swap it with any 6-wire. In the source code, you can change it a little bit, but this one, these are 6-wire, but and these are brushed. These are actually brushed. These are not steps. Yeah, these are brushless. So you're going to have issues with that feedback, but you could technically change it out with a stepper, worm gear, and you go with a higher RPM, you can really push it fast. Yeah. I have some around here somewhere that are pretty damn high RPM.
Cool.
But it's you're gonna have to change you're gonna have to modify the source code a little bit too, though, because then it's gonna be your frame rate's gonna be off for your motor controller.
I don't know how many times I can say I love following this topic and seeing where you're going to take this thing, Lauren.
I know a lot of people don't agree, but if you're running an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch bit, I'll raise my right hand and promise you.
I'll tell you what,
it's smooth. It's very smooth.
You do a demo on 1/2 inch. I bet you could do a demo on 1/2 inch foam and just do it real time and just cut out a rectangle in foam and time it and show how accurate it is. And if you do that, you'll make a lot of believers.
I can take a video, because I have a video of me doing circles, 16 3/4 inch circles, and it takes me on 3/4 inch wood. I'm doing just over an 1/8 inch pass, so it's like 1.26. I always up it a little bit because I like to keep my bit just a little bit off the surface, so I up it so it's cutting a little deeper, right? Mm-hmm. My logic, not perfect logic, but my logic. And I cut them in 7 minutes flat.
That's quick.
So if you go here's a 160 RPM. Let's see if I can get my camera point to it right. It's 160 RPM that I have on this one that I was using for a project where I needed to make it go really fast. And there's different ones you can get. And so like this one, I pushed too hard. So it's really fast. This was a 320. that I had a lot of force on that I pushed, and it was all metal worm gears. I blew the gears inside. I blew the gearbox on it because I only had, but just check, if you go on Amazon, you can get, they're not expensive, like $20, but you could really push it. You can get all the way up to like 500 RPM worm gears. And that's all these guys are out here. The 6-wire worm gears, you know what I mean? And they're literally just the same spindle. You can just take off the end, but you can push them fast. If you really want to push that thing fast, I think those are 50 RPM. I can't remember what the ones on the, do you know, Patrick, at all?
I don't know what their limits are. No, I don't.
And that will give you, so that'll give you way more millimeters per inch. You could go up to 1,000 millimeters per inch if you wanted to. You know what I mean? Or
like I know CNC machines have those options, right? There's CNC machines out there. We were considering getting a tabletop machine once we moved into like a larger area, and running both machines, because I was looking at seriously having like 2 M2s along a wall with a tabletop to complement what the M2 doesn't produce, right? And then obviously I can build the skirts because I'm really running 2 thicknesses, a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch, and then I'm just constantly producing. All I do is just send it from the computer that I'm running from to one of the machines to execute.
Let me see. I have a whole stack of high-end worm gears. Let me see over here, because I'll remember to send I've got to ship stuff out anyways. I got to ship this other lasers out today and everything. Let me see if I have.
I was going to ask you, Drew, have you ever tried to use one computer for more than one machine?
Oh yeah. I've used more computers. In fact, I do that downstairs a lot. So I have when I have my cards. In fact, the other one right now, upgrade the firmware, so I just keep going back and forth between the 2 machines with it. Because one of them has is running the old Maker first, and so I'm running both machines with one computer right now.
Because I was literally considering taking my garage, because I got a lot of stuff stored in my garage, getting like a small building or something, and just
honestly
taking all that stuff out, and then having CNC machines around the garage.
Just go to Raspberry Pi. Do the Raspberry Pi image. It's worth it. The Raspberry Pi image, they did a good job with the Pi image and everything else. So if you want a computer just on your dedicated machine, I would do that.
You can running with like a tablet?
No, you can just use a monitor and keyboard with the Raspberry Pi. I would use a 3B Plus or
okay, I see what you're saying, because the Raspberry Pi is its own mini computer.
It's super cheap. I just screw them to the back of the computer of the machine. And I actually have the Pis back there with Pi images. we were doing the signs and stuff, so I didn't want to take stuff down again right now. But yeah, you'll be fine. You can actually RDP into those or VNC into those and remotely control them. So you can just have one computer sitting there and VNC back and forth. And it's really fast when you're using, and it's all free when you're using.
I was honestly looking to have a Chromebook that I've barely even used. I was considering using the Chromebook as a monitor, like from my house, when I'm running around the house, and then doing that, buying the Raspberry Pis for multiple machines, and then just using the Chromebook to monitor them. The problem is the Chromebook, like Makerverse, is not designed for anything but Windows or Mac or the Raspberry Pi. It isn't app.
Yeah, Chromebooks are pain in the ass. There's some Chromebooks, if they're running an Intel and x86 architecture, you can just go ahead and put take the SSD out or run Windows off of the or Linux off the what do you call it, off of it. But it's hard with the RISC architecture, because if they're using like the Snapdragon stuff like that, it's hard to get a kernel that's gonna work. Well, for Windows, you're good luck, but for Linux, still sometimes it's hard to get Linux kernels that work good on those Chromebooks.
Yeah, I was messing with Linux. I wasn't a huge fan of it.
Yeah. I have so many monitors. Look at some of your local auction sites. There's a bunch of local.
We got a flea market down here that sells them for $30 to $40 a pop for old
monitors.
Yeah.
If you look at the auction, so the problem with the auction is, like, when I win on like those cards, stuff like that, you have to take it all or you get charged a disposal fee. But you'll win, like, I have 24-inch monitors or like 27-inch iMacs. This is a Core i7 27-inch iMac with 16 gigs of RAM. I won 24 of them at an auction for $150.
Jesus Christ.
Now, some of them I have this glass off because the glass was cracked, stuff like that. But yeah, I ended up giving away. But there's other ones where I've won like 150 24-inch nice LED monitors, 1080p or higher res for $100 or less. And so then I just usually end up dumping the rest off of friends. But cool. You'll see tons of iMacs, Mac Pros, 27-inch iMacs piled everywhere. So yeah, check your auction sites. And too, I'll find one. I'll dig one. I'll dig some of these out. Like I'm trying to downsize a lot of this stuff right now. But for the Pi option, if you really want to, just get a cheap monitor. The Logitech wireless keyboard mouse combo is really good for controlling machines with a little touchpad, and they're like $20. And I would just do that with the Pi.
Yeah, I've got some of those keyboard combos.
But the Pi distro is super easy too, and with Etcher, just download the image, flash it with Etcher, and boom, you're good to go.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, another topic. Is there a reason why we don't have G codes on the marketplace?
Nope. Not really.
Because I kept I was gonna basically sell the G code for like $1. I was just like put them out there, and it won't let me upload any of the G codes.
It won't let you upload.
So the marketplace, it'll let me do SVGs, but no G codes. So that's why
would it let you compress a file or put it into a zip file?
I don't know. All I did was just try to directly upload because it's downloadable.
Yeah, try to compress the file and put it. Yeah, try to compress the file, put it in a zip file, and try that.
Okay.
And all the user has to do is just unzip it when they get it.
Unzip it. Yeah.
I'll send Lauren. I've got a bunch of these form gears. Yeah, and I've got some massive ones. These are actually for bay doors, but they actually work we've used them for other projects too. If you really want to have a strong one, you can stick one of those on the back off and figure out how to.
Well, now that you mentioned it, like Patrick, I'm going to see if I can order some of those like higher grade, just to see what happens. Because you think about, I don't know, I'll take my good motors off, the ones that I know that work well, and put some on just to see what happens.
I'm gonna send you some. I'm gonna dig them out. I'm gonna send some. I have stacks of them.
Because it might be worth it if it works. Imagine the ability to sell it, because a lot of these customers that you have from watching them on Facebook, and they're not really needing to go fast, but like talking to them, like I did a 20-hour cut. Like every time somebody says that, I'm like, that is a long cut.
Yeah.
My longest cut to date's been like 3 hours. And
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'm doing some pretty interesting stuff, but it just doesn't take that long.
Mm-hmm.
You use 160 RPM. The worst thing that may happen is you may stretch a spring or snap a chain.
I mean, I got more of those, so I'm not too concerned about that.
But you can push fast because if you double the RPM, I think these other ones are 15 or 22 kilonewtons, so they'll be plenty powerful, and you can move speed. In fact, if you get one that's too small, worst comes to worst, you're gonna blow the motor and not blow your chains. But you can try it. Just pump it because now the speeds will be different, so your accuracy will be different. Because when it thinks it's doing a step with the old motor, since there's different RPMs, it's gonna say, okay, if I'm doing this pulse, I think I'm moving 1 millimeter. When it's actually moving with the faster motor, to be moving 4 millimeters. So you're gonna get some things there happening. But
yeah, I may have to recalibrate for those, but I can always create a new machine and calibrate.
Create a new profile.
Getting rid of my old calibration. That's really my thing. Is like I just look at time to cut. And if I could cut at about twice the speed I'm doing now, I'm winning all day long. The problem
if you're going to foam board and using a laser, you can actually, that laser will cut this foam stuff. So for like signs like this, where we want something lightweight, easy to move around, I like using the foam for signs because most of the signs we do are temporary. Like this is going to be a backdrop for screens or but those work perfect, and you can actually cut that purple foam easily with that laser attachment. You could push it fast.
Yeah, I mean, even the purple foam, if I get no resistance, and I did that at 40 or 50 inches per minute in the foam, and it was like butter. I mean, the only problem we ran into was the weird corrections it would sometimes catch on those, and it was really sporadic. Like it wasn't always in the same spot. So I had to do a little cleanup, but at 40 inches per minute, like it cut it with absolute perfection, no issues, no mistakes, nothing. But it's definitely like anything over 40, the 45, 50, 55, and 60, it starts doing weird things. But that's an interesting point with the motors. I'll have to, if they're not that expensive, it'd be fun to try. And that's an excellent opportunity for MakerMade to kind of cash in and offer those options. Because right now we're running basically the Hulk and motors when it's not really needed, Like, I don't know what anybody would need that amount. The amount of force those motors can provide is crazy.
Oh yeah, it's absurd. They're definitely not purpose built for this. So we essentially acquired those as part of the original Maslow kits, and I've worked with the factory to try and get them adjusted, but it was a difficult process at the time. So when we launch this new platform, we're definitely going to be swapping over to steppers. They just they're more cost effective. They don't have to carry the amount of torque that this thing needs to carry to hog that sled around. So I think we can do it pretty cost effectively.
Steppers like this, Patrick.
Just like that.
I have extra ones if you want them. I send them to you.
Oh, we got tons of stepper motors. Yeah, that's thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. We got plenty of them. Now we're just trying to figure out if we need like a NEMA 17 or what power rating we need or torque rating we need.
How much more would it cost to adjust the connection, the bearings to the ring? Like, one of the things that I find, it's just one of those like tedious things. You hang up your Maslow, but when you're taking it down, put it back on a new sheet. It seems like every time I put it down, I have to readjust the bearings connecting to the ring, right? Because they'd be like off canted one way or the other.
That's my workers. Why are you?
Is there any way to put a third bearing on the outside of the ring to keep everything always in line?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, and also I'll be candid about those bearings. They're way overkill, clearly, right? They're way overkill.
Oh, yeah.
Both in material, but also just in price. So like we've been the problem with the bearings or those bearings is that adjusting the bearings, adding one more gets expensive, and then adjusting them, making them smaller, changes all the geometry or all the trigonometry therefore. For the unit itself as well. So that also becomes that's the challenge we ran into there, because there's big cost savings options, but then you've got to do a lot of software changes to fix it. So again, that's why so essentially with the M2 right now, Lauren, we're looking to move everybody to these 15-foot chains. We're going to have this camera mount. We're going to continue to improve the user experience, but make it between us, MakerMade's go forward is this Millie product. It's going to be something that we're going to design a variant of it where you could even take down your M2 and turn it into a mounted gantry.
Too much.
Yeah.
I'm just joking, man.
So I definitely see all of that, and I understand. Like, at the end of the day, manufacturing, you're going to have guys like me that are willing to spend a little extra money to make it smooth. Kind of like the dust collection. It's a market for people that are going to use it, but there's also it's not a straight up market for y'all to invest in the whole dust collection system. It just doesn't pay off for y'all to be building those. Like, the customer base isn't there.
Yeah, the future for us of dust collection is going to be, I think, a lot more in line with like a handheld sander or something, the little dust boot hanging on that thing, something like that, suspended from the gantry, utilizing the same motor for the spindle that you use for dust collection as well. I'm hopeful that we can find ways to pair.
Well, they do. A lot of those routers come with us bags anyway, so you just make a bigger bag for it and do that, hang it that way.
Yeah, very true.
I'm with you on the partnering with some of those things. Like, whenever I've done with my other companies, like, there's some products that's just like, why develop your own when there's things where we can source other places and do easier and just keep it in your shoe line. And then for some reason you shift that product line, you can't easy, and you're not so heavily invested in that product line.
Yeah, 100%.
But, cool. Yeah. What do y'all with the 3D printers? Are y'all done the bundles before? But it'd be interesting because it'd be interesting to figure out the marketing to get the 3D printers, because 3D printers are hard. There's so many ones out there and stuff like that. But if they're buying MakerMade and they're loyal to MakerMade, you have a huge advantage there. So it's like figuring out some ways to tie these together with projects, like the stuff that Lauren's doing with that little that bit. So not only is he using this, but now he can print parts he needs to do other things. You know what I mean? And that's
exactly the path to success. I think that exists for all 3D printing. In order for larger adoption of 3D printing to occur, you have to make them practical and use. You got to get away from like all this like obsession with like the different newest tech version of it, like the latest reality that comes out. Like nobody cares. You just go back to the same Ender 3 that you had 10 years ago, like, because at the end of the day, people just want this thing to make something else. And you as a company are focused on the product or the tool, right? And like, no, I don't care. I don't, just give me 1,000 projects to make with it that work practically, right? And then that's all I care about, right?
No, it's like, well, it's like with this stupid thing. That's, I joke, this is our most expensive piece of furniture. That's my $40,000, $45,000 coffee table right there. The Object 40 Pro. That's literally sitting there collecting dust because it's so expensive. It's such a nightmare to deal with. I'm just better off using the MakerMade. And so, yeah, that thing can do amazing things with all these features, none of which we need. You know what I mean? And so,
Yes,
it's much faster and easier to do other things. Well, I got it for dirt cheap, so I got an option.
That's good. Hey guys, I'm gonna bounce. I gotta
get going.
Prepped, but
I gotta get going. I got a call to get on to. So
yep.
See y'all later.
Yep, I'll try to get that laser out to you today, Patrick. Sorry, I've been trying to get.
No, that'd be sweet. I really appreciate it, Drew. Thank you.
You got it. Talk to you later.
All right, later,
It
guys.
was good to see everybody.
See you, Lauren. Yeah,
Bye.
thanks. Later, Dustin.